I'm Cynthia James, and this network is about changing lives one woman at a time.
Hello and welcome to Women Awakening. I'm your host, Cynthia James, and I get the extraordinary honor of introducing you to powerful women, women who are change makers, women who are making a difference in this world and committed to support other women in doing the same. So we meet every week, and I'm so inspired by these women because they've come through a lot of things in their lives and they end up in the same place to make a difference. And so I want you to know that they're not extraordinary in the way that they're different from you. You're extraordinary. We're all extraordinary, and we can learn from each other, and we can support each other, and we can give to each other. I want you to know that we're on all the platforms: Spotify, iTunes, iHeart, Spreaker, Amazon, and YouTube. We're on video on YouTube. You just look for Women Awakening with Cynthia James. And you can also go to my website, cynthiajames.net. You can see all the things I have to offer and all the courses and all the upcoming events. So I have a new friend today that I'm going to introduce you to. Her name is Glenda Wyatt Franklin. She's a certified mindful health and wellness coach, and she's a registered nurse with over 20 years in the healthcare industry. She's currently writing Dramatic Ownership: The Master Keys to Reclaiming the Health You Didn't Know You Could. It's a transformative book that teaches how spiritual principles, rather than restrictive meal plans, can drive profound shifts in health, and it's inspired by her own incredible health journey. So, in addition to coaching, Glenda's a leader in home health quality assurance, regulatory compliance, and clinical education. And she's leveraging her extensive background in nursing and education in medical anthropology. She's also a co-owner with her partner, Darlene Franklin. They've created something called Besties Vegan Bliss, a vegan dessert business where they create delicious, plant-based and gluten-free treats that support her dedication to health and community well-being. Glenda, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Well, I'm going to talk about your whole thing, but I always start with asking the guest, how did you grow up? Did you grow up in a health family? How'd you grow up?
Well, I grew up in a very loving family, but I also my family also was pretty typical, I would say, in the way that we ate. So, the standard soul food diet, all of the great things that we ate. My mom was a wonderful cook, especially with her baked goods. Oh my God, the apple pies and the sweet potato pies and all of that she would make. And oh, every part of the pig too. So, the chickens and the pig ears and all of that stuff I grew up eating. And it was all in love. But I would say that, part of my background in my childhood is I was not raised by my biological mother. I was actually raised by my great aunt and uncle. And so my relationship with my biological mother was a bit challenging. I wouldn't say strained, just didn't know each other all that well. And so, we spent decades getting to know each other. And by the time she transitioned, we found ourselves still working on the relationship, not wanting it where we wanted it to be, but we healed a lot of things. And it was at her funeral that I made a decision to change my life. I was sitting there in the funeral home, and two things, and this was in 2016. So two profound things happened in 2016 for me. Number one, that was the year that my biological mother transitioned. And secondly, that was the year that I turned 50. And I was sitting there in the funeral home with my adult children by my side. And, you know, all of us, I have 4 siblings, so the 5 of us all seated in those first couple rows. And I looked at my mother there in the casket. I looked at my brothers. I looked at my sons. And I looked down at me. And I did this a number of times. I looked at my mother, looked at my brothers, looked at my sons. I looked down at me. And it hit me in that moment. I said, it's not supposed to be this way. My mother was 79 when she transitioned. And I said, she's not supposed to be gone. She's not supposed to have withered away from disease. And especially having withered away from mostly what ultimately did her in physically was the medications that were involved with fighting another condition. So it occurred to me that something's not right here. And number one, I don't want my sons on this front row anytime soon. And I said, I have to do something. I was tremendously overweight. I felt terrible. I had not yet been diagnosed with any formal condition, but I felt it coming. I felt it. I felt the diabetes growing. I felt the hypertension coming on. I felt the heart disease happening in my body. I could just feel it. And I said, I have to do something. Otherwise, I'm going to end up like so many other people do, including my mother, either succumbing to a disease or succumbing to the medications fighting a disease. And I'm not going to do that. And so I made a decision. I didn't know what I was going to do yet. I didn't know how I was going to change, but I knew that I needed to. And of course, like many people, I had been on various weight loss programs before. I had done the Weight Watchers. I had done you know, the Jenny Craig's, if anyone remembers all that back in the day, just all of that, the strenuous exercise programs, all of it. And of course, there would be some change and then it would all come back and more. So I didn't know what I was going to do, but I knew I would do something. Well, fast forward a few months from then, I ran into someone who had had a tremendous change, and I ended up going on the program that they went on. And I did see significant change in my life, and I lost 70 pounds. But then I gained it back, most of it. Most of it came back a couple years later. And I went into another program, and one of the things that frustrated me so much about this program was, first of all, it was very, very restrictive, and you could only eat certain things. And I really wanted a sandwich. And so I went to them and I said, I know that the, bread and, what have you is not a part of this. I said, but is there a way I can have a sandwich? I mean, because ultimately this is all based on calories and macronutrients and all of that. Can't we just move things around? So instead of having 3 shakes a day, I have maybe 2 shakes, but that frees up some calories and carbs and what have you that will allow me to have a sandwich. Oh, no, you can't do that. No, the program is the program, and we just got to do it this way. And I was absolutely angry about that. And I said, you know what? I got to find my own way. I'm just going to find my own way. And I did. And through a series of experiments, trial and error, what works for me, paying attention to my body, paying attention to how I feel, I dropped it all myself. And I didn't struggle.
Well, you know what I love about this? All of these diets put you into a state of sacrifice.
Yes.
And so it's like you're doing it, but some part of you is saying, oh my God, I'm being deprived.
Yes.
And as soon as you get off of it, you start going back to the things that don't make you feel like you're sacrificing.
Yes, absolutely. I was speaking to a client of mine yesterday who expressed, I'm having a hard time throwing out this bag of candy that I have, candy bars and all of that stash that he had. And I said, I said, well, and he says, well, why can't I find it within myself to throw this away? And I said, well, maybe that's not the question. Maybe the question is, why do you want it?
Ah, what are you hungry for?
Yes. Do you want it and what do you want it for? What is its purpose? So
Mm,
if you take away that I can't have it, I can't have it, I can't have it, and instead understand that you can have whatever you want, just make decisions about why do I want it in this moment? What will it do for me?
right. Always
And
about
that
choice.
it's always about choice. And you know what he did? He said, oh, and he just threw it away.
Right. Well, but
He
you know
said
what?
that was a tremendous shift.
When you're doing it because it is something that you know supports you and creates alignment with your purpose, then
Yes,
it's not a hardship. So
correct.
so after you did this for yourself, is that when you went to school?
No, actually, I became a nurse. You mean for nursing?
Well, nursing
Or
and the whole health and wellness
oh,
and
health. Yes, it was after that that I decided to become a certified health coach. Because I had seen such a change in my life. And I said, people need to know about this. People need to know that you can take ownership of your health. You can decide what works for you. You can decide what changes work best for you. You don't need a meal plan. I always say the best meal plan that you can have is the one you make for yourself,
mm,
the one where you are empowered. Do you want a plant-based diet? And I saw some tremendous changes for me when when I started on a plant-based path. Absolutely the easiest thing that I've ever done. But that's not everyone's path, and that's
right.
okay. So when you're trying to mold yourself into something that you're completely uncomfortable with, then that's not going to work for you. You may have some changes that you'll see temporarily, but you'll go back to what makes you feel good. So make yourself feel good. If you have a desire, like I did, I had a desire, and actually it was spiritual principles too that were a huge part of it. I created what we would call a mental equivalent, which
Hmm.
basically is, I pictured who I felt I really was. Who was this person? And I got to know her. I got to actually communicate. I would talk to her out loud sometimes. This vision in my mind of who this Glenda is that I know I really am. And she began to inform my nutrition.
Oh,
She
I
did.
love that.
Things
Well,
just started to feel right, and other things just released
fell
out of
away.
my existence without me having to fight it because it didn't feel right for her. And she literally, in my meditation, in my mind treatment for myself, I would say, Glenda's going to let me know what she likes to eat and what she
What's going to
doesn't,
be good for a
and what's going to
perfect,
be good for her. What she likes, I will like. What she
right.
doesn't like, I will no longer feel a need to have. And
Well,
that's
you're talking
exactly
about
why.
being personally accountable.
Absolutely.
So is that what dramatic ownership is?
That is what dramatic ownership is. It is first and foremost understanding that your health is your responsibility.
Mm,
The doctors can't heal you. The doctors are a part of your healthcare team. They're one of your members, the healthcare team that you have put together. You have hired this person who is in alignment with your health goals. So what is your health goal? I said to one of my clients, he said, I want to get off of blood pressure medication. And I said, have you said that to your physician? And he said, well, no. I said, you can have that conversation with your physician because trust me, the doctor is not going to keep you on blood pressure medication that you no longer need.
right,
When
right,
your blood pressure comes within normal range and is consistent that way, and it gets to the point that when you take that medication, your blood pressure drops too low, they'll remove the medication. So
right.
have that conversation to say, you know what, doc? My goal is to no longer need this blood pressure medication. What are the circumstances under which you feel it would be safe to take me off this medication? And they will let you know that. And if that doctor is not willing to have that conversation with you, you need another doctor.
Amen. Well, I want to talk about genetics,
Mm-hmm.
uh, because there are some people who, um, clients of mine who, have worked very hard to shift some of the things in their lives. And then, and then, but there are some genetic patterns that they can't seem to overcome. Have you noticed that in your coaching?
Are you talking about, for instance, a tendency of diabetes to run in the family?
Diabetes or um, heart disease, and because some people, I mean, I have one client in particular that I'm thinking about that has, I mean, really been diligent about how she eats, her working out, her spiritual practice, and
Mm-hmm.
and and the the blood pressure doesn't seem to move. And
Mm-hmm.
she's frustrated, and her doctors are saying we need to do something because you're in danger area. and
Mm-hmm.
and so what do you tell people in that case?
What I tell people is, first and foremost, to release the belief that you have inherited something that's inescapable
Mm,
regarding
okay.
your health. That, yes, there have been family members, and you have seen this pattern in your family, and you have seen it in yourself, but you don't have to accept that this is inevitable.
Yeah.
Much of, because so there's this thing called epigenetics,
Yes. Hmm.
where we have the ability to shift the way that our genes express
Yep.
in our bodies.
Yep.
And there is so much, and this isn't really underscored enough in the medical community. There is there is so much of our health that has been determined simply by what we think and believe. And they know this because of things like, you've heard of the placebo effect.
Right. Right.
So in
And
the
also
placebo
people who
effect,
use their mind to heal disease that people said they would never heal.
yes, and there is a nocebo
Mm.
effect.
Oh, what is
So
that?
people, that is when people have actually made themselves sick because they believe that they are going to be sick.
Okay, got it. Got it.
So it works both ways. And so they are really in the process of studying the link between the way we think about something, or what we believe about something, and how it actually plays out. I was actually listening to a pharmaceutical ad the other day that was talking about that, oh, in the clinical trials, some patients may have known that they were receiving this particular drug, which may have increased the results. So they know that just by knowing that they're taking something that may help them, that may be the reason that it helped them, not because of the medication itself.
Right. So this is so interesting to me. So I want to talk about this because in some of the people that I've worked with, and some of the people that I've coached and counseled over the years, you know, there's a there is an adversity to Western medicine. And yet some people have had dire results because they refuse to deal with it. Can you
Mhm.
talk about, for lack of a better phrase, God being in everything and then you get to
Ah,
choose?
oh, absolutely. I believe that each and every one of us is an individuated expression of the divine one, and that includes doctors. So healing is healing in whatever form it comes. I believe that first and foremost that we have to decide, and this is a dramatic ownership for me. We can decide to be healthy. We can
Yes.
decide that health is our birthright. So if I have a severe knee condition, like I had at one point, and I could barely walk, I didn't accept that, oh, I'm 58 years old, so that's just part of getting older.
Yeah.
No, I went to the doctor and I said, something's going on with my knee. I can barely walk, and this is unacceptable. So they had to, first of all, x-rays weren't showing that much. And, then the insurance company was denying my ability to get an MRI because of X, Y, and Z. And no, I persisted. And I persisted enough to where the doctor eventually started fighting with the insurance company and said, no, she needs an MRI because, X, Y, and Z. So eventually got the MRI, had a torn meniscus, is what it showed. And yes, let's repair this. Let's repair this now. Let's take care of it. I walk perfectly.
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
what I
So
love about this is it's making up your mind where you
making
want
up
to
your
be.
mind. Yes. And so yes, if I need a doctor, whether even if it's an oncologist,
Mhm.
if I have been told that the test results show that there is cancer present, I have a choice of how I want to engage with that information.
Yes.
And I
Yes.
can choose acupuncture, I can choose nutrition, I can choose chemotherapy and radiation if
Mhm.
I choose to. But I have an understanding, I have made a decision that I am whole
Yes.
and that
Yes.
I was designed to be whole and perfect. And that
Yes.
the experience that I'm having at this moment is an experience, but I still have made a decision that I am designed to be whole and perfect, and that the essence of me is that. And I know that I can express as such in my body.
Well, absolutely. And it's so interesting. I loved when I was reading about you and Darlene's company, um, vegan dessert, a number of years ago, I decided to become vegan and I was so happy about it and I loved the way I was eating it. And my energy, something was happening with my energy.
Mhm,
And I was following all the rules, you need this much protein and so I went to my doctor and I said, okay, I don't understand what's happening. And he said, okay, you are not getting enough protein. But I had muscle tested. I wasn't supposed to have meat. I wasn't supposed to have chicken, you know? And so he said, have you muscle tested fish? And I was like, no. He said, try that. So that's what I did. So I eat mostly plant-based, and then I
mhm.
add fish into it, which has balanced out, because I'm an energetic bunny. But
Yes.
but it was because I was willing to see what worked for me because I knew I could not go back to eating meat. Everything
Mhm,
in me was like a no. So I
mhm.
love that you're saying choose to be healthy and then find out what works for you.
Yes, 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 absolutely. And so my practice is to choose what it is that I envision. And what I envision, I accept it as not only possible, but as a reality in my life, at least on some level or on some plane. The
Yes.
details of how that comes to be seen and detected by my physical senses is not my business.
Right. Right.
Those details will come to me. The knowledge will come. I'll run into a person that knows that. I might be referred to a doctor or an acupuncturist or a nutritionist or an herbalist or a coach who knows something else. But all of these things come together to feed my vision of what I accepted as true in my life. And
Yes.
so it's not about sticking to, I'm not going to make being plant-based into a religion.
Right. Right.
Okay, I'm not going to make that into a religion. So yes, if my body is calling for some fish, have some fish.
Right.
It's okay. I don't have to
Right,
condemn myself, like, oh my God, I'm not sticking to the vegan paradigm.
right.
That's not what it's about. It's about living fully
Yes.
and living who you were designed to be. That's dramatic ownership.
100%. Okay, tell me how people find you and your coaching and when your book comes out.
Well, they can reach me on Facebook. My name is Glenda Wyatt Franklin on Facebook. I also have a Facebook group called Dramatic Health.
Ah,
And my book I believe it's going to come out around the first of the year. That is the vision anyway. So yes, diligently working on that. I'm also on LinkedIn, Glenda Wyatt Franklin. And also you can have my phone number, 248-825-6150. Also, bestiesveganbliss.com is where you can find our delicious baked goods. And I can tell you the majority of our clients are not even vegan. The number one question we get is, this is vegan? Really?
because it can be good, it can taste good.
Yes, yes. Someone was eating a brownie, the other day. We had catered a function and they were like, oh, yeah, yeah. So they were asking me about the business. Oh, this is great. And, so I were talking about it. And she says, but this isn't vegan though. And I said, it is. She said, this is vegan? Yes, it is. Everything we do is vegan. So yeah, you can have the experience without having the animal products if that's your path.
I love it. Well, I ask the same last question of every guest on my show. This show is called Women Awakening. What
Mhm.
do you think is the most important thing about women awakening on the planet in this moment?
I think the most important thing about women awakening is that women can realize they can still choose. Whatever your age is, wherever you are in life, you can still choose. That dream you have inside, that vision that you kind of gave up on, you can still have it. You can still choose. You can awaken in ways that you never thought you could. And even if you don't know how, just decide to do so, and the way will come.
Oh, Glenda, that is so beautiful and beautifully said. Thank you so much for being here. Your passion is tangible, and I'm grateful that you're doing this work in the world, and grateful that you took time to be with me.
I am grateful for your work as well, and I am so tremendously blessed that you have invited me here, and I thank you.
Okay, ladies, I close this show the same way every week. I say different words, but it's the same message. Your life is up to you.
Mhm,
You were born because you were necessary on this planet at this time.
mhm,
You get to choose how you want to live, how you want to eat, what kind of relationships you want to have, how you want to move on this planet, what you want to create. This is your time. This is the moment where women are emerging and you can step into your greatness and the universe will support you. I am so grateful to have this time with you always. And I love you and I'll see you next time.